Hello. Okay, now we're going to be looking at the first piece of writing you may get in the B2 writing exam, which is an article. So let's have a look at a few tips, a few pieces of advice to be able to do this piece of writing better, and we'll see a little example of a question. The objective, very simple. It's to entertain, interest, and inform the reader. I said very simple, but it may be a strange mixture. An article is like a mix. It's not as formal as an essay. It's not as informal as an informal letter. It's a little bit of a mix, but you have to give information, but you have to entertain and interest the reader as well. So it makes it maybe a little bit more difficult because you have to try and find a mix of language to do this. Let's have a look at a possible example. Okay, you will see this is a typical, the typical question of an article. It says, you've seen the following announcement in an English language magazine. It's about ancient civilizations. What makes it so fascinating? What would you like to know about it? And the next line is interesting and indicative of what you have to do. It says, the best article will be published in the magazine. Okay? And it says, write your answer in an appropriate style. This is often in an article, it will tell you that the best one will be published in the magazine. What does this tell you? This tells you that you have to be interesting from the very beginning. Okay? It shouldn't just be factual and dry. It has to include a different type of language to something like an essay or a report. So you have to make it interesting from the very beginning. If we look here, for example, I'll give you the structure. It says include a title. Okay, the title is very important in an article. As I think I will repeat in the next screen, the title shouldn't just be factual. It should be something quite short and something that grabs the attention of the reader and makes the reader want to continue to read this. The idea is that it's going to be published in a magazine. In a magazine, imagine you're looking through a magazine, you see a title, you think, okay, that's interesting, I'll read this. That's the idea. So it has to be an interesting title that grabs your attention. The introduction, okay, why is it interesting? So if we're talking about ancient civilizations, why is it interesting? What interests you about it? Okay, so this must be, again, beginning from the word go, from the introduction, to express your interest in this civilization and to try to demonstrate your interest to the reader and to interest them. The main body is very simple. If you have 1, 2 paragraphs in the main body, develop a couple of ideas. Okay, it should be an idea, a paragraph. Okay, this of course depends on the question. We're talking about civilizations. What makes it interesting? What would you like to learn more about this? So again, you have to base your answer on the question, but develop idea 1, develop idea 2 with arguments, with justifications, reasoning. And in the conclusion, as I said in the general tips, summarize the main ideas. Good advice as well for an article, express a feeling. End with an interesting last sentence. Okay, this could be easier said than done. So we're telling you to begin in an interesting way and to end in an interesting way. So the impression that the reader gets is a very positive one. And to express a feeling. Okay, so make it something a little personal. The style, personal, here it is. Okay, so it's asking about you. So make it personal. All right, tell them about yourself, why you like this, why you don't like this, what you find interesting. It should be informal or semi-formal. Okay, again, it's one of those, it's not as informal as an informal letter, but it's not a formal piece of writing. So it should be informal or semi-formal, and the language should be vivid. When I say vivid, think of adjectives. Don't say something is interesting, say it is fascinating. Don't say something is big, say it is enormous. Or use a nice adverb-adjective combination. It's incredibly stimulating. It's wonderfully exotic. This type of language, this is what they want. And verbs, if you can. Don't use your normal verbs, okay? Don't say like, say love, say adore. So try to use language which is more vivid, all right? And some hints, finally. As I said before, a short title. Okay, it's better a short title because it's more catchy, and try to make it interesting, a fun title, not just factual. Address the readers directly. You don't know the readers, but try to bring them in. Maybe use a rhetorical question. This is something that's going to come up in other bits of writing. So maybe in the introduction, have you ever been to a city and seen the civilization and wondered how they could blah, 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 blah. It's a rhetorical question. It's a question you're going to ask them and then you're going to answer yourself. But this makes the reader want to continue reading. Give examples, of course, examples of things you've seen. Okay, that's logical. And the last one says use humor. It's easier said than done. If you can use a little bit of humor, then that's wonderful, because again, it makes it much more interesting. So basically, an article has to be as interesting and as entertaining as possible while giving information and reasons about whatever topic you have. Thank you for your attention.